Hello and welcome to Shy Talk, an Irish history podcast. This week we were back with a film club episode that we did with Paul Marsh. Paul's a very funny comedian, playing up and down the country all over the place, but also he's a big fan of The Field. So we watched The Field the other week and sat down and chatted about it for about 2 hours. We chatted about it for so long that we cut off about half an hour of it, and we're going to stick that up on the Patreon, which the link is for in the description of this episode. But this is the main episode where we talked about the film The Field. So enjoy, follow Paul on social media if you like, and we'll be back next week with more stuff. So we went, a year ago we said we'd watch The Field and talk about it.
The reason I remember telling you a year ago, because when you were talking about, I don't know what brought up the subject of The Field, but I was telling you that I had been to Lannan a couple of times where it's filmed.
Yeah.
And I was looking up, I was like, I'm looking forward to coming on the podcast because I've got all this inside information. So a friend of mine, when I was in the airport, which was 1996, he inherited a field.
Yeah.
In Westport, just on heading towards Lannan, and he put one of those log cabins on it, and he had like this as a holiday home. So I went up there, and I went up there with him once, and then I went up with a girlfriend of mine then shortly afterwards. So I went to the same place twice, and you're trying to show off to your girlfriend. I was bringing her up for a drive. Like the drive from Westport to Lannan is unreal.
Yeah,
like you've never. Even my wife there, the last time she was just in awe of the place. But years ago,
I remember bringing an old girlfriend up here years ago.
I didn't mention that to
her.
I brought all my girlfriends up.
Yeah.
So do you want to go on a date? Yeah, let's go to Galway. I recently found out. I always thought it was Mayo. I recently found out Lannan is in Galway. So it's
because I'm trying to picture where, because I cycled over in Galway, and from Westport to Lannan. Yeah, it's just pure. So it's Connemara.
It's really like, and it's mountains either side. So it's a fjord. If you remember from...
Yeah. It's the only... It claims to be the only fjord in
Ireland.
In Ireland,
right, yeah.
Which I don't know if that's true, but...
Yeah, because I remember...
Waterfjord.
Yeah, exactly. Waterfjord, Carlingfjord, all the other places.
I remember doing this in geography in school, and I was like, why do they keep going on about fjords and we've only got one? Like,
yeah.
But it's like mountains either side. And so there's a friend of mine in work, I'm all over the place here.
Oh.
But there's a friend of mine in work, he's mad into swimming and sea swimming and all that. But he said the best swim of the year is up there because it's still the sea. So it's a peninsula.
Yeah.
So it's still sea water, but there's no like tides and big waves and all that. So it's just flat out whoever's the fastest. So they all look forward to it.
Is that near? Is it near Crowpatrick?
No? It wouldn't be too far, actually. Yeah,
would you be able to see the peninsula from it?
You would. Yeah,
because I remember being up there and seeing someone point out, it was like, how many peninsulas do we have in Ireland? It's only a handful as well.
No. What's peninsula? Is just like a
big long one, kind of.
Yeah. Well, some of them are long, some of them are short. It's more about.
So this one comes into Lannan and then kind of goes left towards Westport. So there's a big long. So as you come from Westport, you have like what looks like a lake on your right hand side the whole time, but it's not. It's part of it.
I'm only remembering this now. Actually, I did a 10k or so. I don't know. We did like a triathlon thing.
Stop bragging about exercise. I was cycling all around the country. I was doing a 10k.
I was doing a triathlon. Actually,
flute off yourself in your bedroom like you are every day.
I wish that's what I was doing because we went down the night before. It took ages to drive over there, and we're staying like in.
They do triathlons down there all the time in Lannan.
Yeah, it's a big annual thing. But though we were there. You're staying like on location in like dorms or whatever. And we went with a guy, I swear, like he had, when you're staying in fucking hostels and stuff and you're like, oh, hey, fucking sleep apnea, he was snoring all night. This guy had the machinery. He was there, we couldn't sleep a wink until he had a fucking mask
Darth
machine.
Vader,
Just snores like saws. I have a recording of it somewhere because I couldn't believe how loud it was.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get any sleep then the night before, and I took it up at fucking 6:30 to get out and run up a hill. because it's all around Welry, like the tallest mountain in.
But I think I heard something before about that. If you're doing a triathlon, you're starting out kind of, you have to do the sea swimming part, but they go for places like that because they don't want people like fucking, in big waves and.
They changed the sea swimming bit in that for rowing. So instead of swimming, you row.
Oh, right,
I think it's easier. It's safer.
Safer. Yeah.
Because in San Francisco, they start the swim from Alcatraz. And then they swim across, and then start their cycling, and then finish off on the run.
Just to train people how to escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah, but it's funny that back in the day, everyone's like, "Was it even possible? Could it even have happened? What's the mystery?" It's like they do it every year, and like hundreds of people do it.
Yeah.
You have to be a very fit swimmer. I don't believe that. Like Clint Eastwood would be able to do it.
No,
like I don't think that a prisoner who hadn't swum.
He was young.
Sean Connery could have done it though.
But you'd want to be training. I don't think. Imagine being like, "Hey, guard, can I just get off for about an hour? I just want to swim in the river. Just training, not in particular. Just trying to get fit.
For a triathlon,
exercise."
There's a few lads in work that are just. I've been starting to go to the gym. Thanks. I have. And when you go to the gym and you're working with guys who do triathlons, and you're like, fuck, because they get on a machine beside you, and you're like, oh, just stop, will you? They just go flat out, But they're serious. But one of the guys I works with is a huge swimmer, and he mad into swimming. I have to tell this story. I'm going to tell him. I mentioned him on a podcast.
Yeah,
but he swam the English Channel and broke the Irish record, and was only like a few minutes off the world record and all that.
Jesus.
And he's very good. And I remember we got a plaque for his locker and all the work, and he was pure delighted and everything was grand, because it's a big ordeal. You have to bring, like, there's a boat with you, and you have to get the tides right and all that. And 3 years later, it was broken. He only had the record for 3 years, and it was broken 3 years later by another member of Dublin Fire Brigade, who he happens to be married to.
Oh.
So she fucking, imagine, how good is that relationship that your wife broke your Irish record and you're just cool enough about it? Like, I'd divorce my missus.
I was going to say, was that his one way of getting away from the missus, going doing triathlons? And
the two of them are great swimmers, and like, he's often gone away for a weekend and he'd be like, "Oh, we're doing a swim someplace or whatever," and you'd write back in on a Monday and I'd go, "How did the swim go?" And he'd say, "Fastest man home." And we'd go, "Okay, how much did she beat you by?"
Yeah. That's great.
So Lannan is well known. That particular place is well known for, and there's a hotel there. And I always remember thinking it's strange that there's a hotel there, but the hotel
it's a beautiful,
is basically,
And then there's, it's right there in the crossroads between Galway, Mayo.
So the reason I was going to tell you all this is
the wood cabin out there. Yeah,
you might be able to tell me, whoever the cinematographer or whoever the location guy was looking for. From John B. Keane's play, they described this field as real green in the middle of like the roughest.
Yeah.
Right. So on the way in from Westport, you can still see it as you're coming in along. As you come in from Westport, there's Ashley Falls. I might be pronouncing that wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
And the church that's all in the movie is there. And as you come down along the straight, and you see this field on the left hand side, and it just stands out. That it's, this big green field in the middle of it, and it's the field that's in the movie. So it's belonged to two owl guys, the two brothers. And when they were looking for this, they went back to Jim Sheridan and brought him up and showed him and said this, and he was like, "This is perfect. The shots we're going to get is because the mountain is up behind it, and you can get loads of shots of it. And this is going to be great. And we'll ask the guys we want to film here on location for a day or whatever." They only wanted to show it once or something in the movie.
Yeah.
So they said to him, "We want to film here, and we'll give you like €1,000 or £1,000 or whatever." And they were, no problem at all. Film away. Don't be worried about your €1,000. And they were going, no, we have to pay you something. And, no, don't be worried. The two boys, not at all. Don't be grand. And then they said to him, "I tell you what you can do. You can pay me me poaching fine for me. I got fined for making poaching." And they said, "All right." And Jim Sheridan turned to the guy and said, "How much is a fine for poaching?" He said, £500 or £600 or whatever. He said, "Okay." And they spat their hands and they shook hands, and then found out that it was like their 10th time getting caught, and it was $8,000. So they paid $8,000 for the use of the field. So Jim Sheridan was like, "I'm putting that bloody field in every shot. We're going to film here for 2 weeks." So the field is in the movie way more than it should be in the movie. The field that particular field. So they shot loads on location there at that field, but it's still there. The house that they used for the widow, the whole lot. That was the two boys, So.
I didn't know that the widow. Do you know that actress? I don't remember her from anything.
No,
else.
I've never seen her, and she played it great in that.
She was married to Sting.
No way.
For like 8 years, and then he cheated on her with his current wife now.
No
and then
way.
like she was best friends with him, neighbours, and then he went off with that one, and then still together with that wife now.
That was
You'd like to see things
cheating.
work out.
How did she didn't catch it? Because he keeps going on about having 12-hour sex sessions.
Yeah, and she was like,
Like,
"Oh,
he was like,
so
where
you
is he
fucking-
gone?
so 6 hours.
I mean, if it's a quickie in a hotel someplace, you get away with it. But 12-hour sex sessions.
Gone
I
for
don't know.
weekends.
I
at
heard a
time.
noise next door. It was for about 12 hours.
Tantric sex, isn't that it? Jeez.
He did one of those, trace your ancestry BBC shows, and they traced his ancestry back to a workhouse in Monaghan.
All right.
So he was over in Monaghan. It was at a funeral. I met the people that they're now known as the Sting Murphys or whatever their second name was.
Yeah.
So he traced ancestry back to them, but it was just like, you always think it's going to be more glamorous than that, You trace your. It was actually an Irish nobleman who fought off they traced it back as only a couple of 150 years ago. As a kid, they just died in this poorhouse in Monaghan.
I'm going to get into it about the whole, the field thing and the people, because like I was going to say, I'm from Tipperary, from a rural part. And
Yeah.
I know people who would kill for a field.
Oh, yeah.
Even today.
Yeah.
So this, I think, if you're not a culture, I don't think you get this movie or you get this as much as say someone who was born and bred in
The
Dublin.
reviews that came from the States were like slated the film.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Over here,
40% or
people
something.
loved it, and in England it did well. And even some reviewers, like Roger Ebert, really liked it. And then, like the New York Times, slated him for liking it.
Yeah,
and it was obviously it's like, all right, you don't understand the value.
You just don't get it.
Yeah.
There's friends of mine who are in a drama society down home, and they said that every little drama society in Ireland, they know that if they put on the field, it'll be a sellout. So they don't do it too often. Because they don't want to be clashing with people. So you kind of do it maybe once every few years or whatever. But it's just Irish people love it, and it's just that they,
Yeah, I think the drama society would love clashing with people.
Yeah. But the thing about the reason I was mentioning Tipperary is my father had the local shop, and he knew everyone, and he would have grown up around the area. So you'd always have sergeants there was like a sergeant at the local Garda station who wouldn't know, like in the movie, wouldn't know to be. So if somebody came from America and they were like, "Oh, I'm trying to trace my ancestors," they say, "Go up and have a chat with Sean Marsh. He'll be able to tell you." But he loved it. He well, not that he loved it, but he took it very serious. If somebody showed up at our shop and said, "I'm such and such a man," "Oh, I know who you are. Yeah, come here, hop in the car there," and he'd drive him down and say, "That was your home place, and your grandfather was this, and your and he'd show them. And most of the time, like he said, the amount of people that would be crying in the car, like as he's telling them why they're not there anymore and why this, that, and the other. And then the selling of land, like to sell land. I remember my father years ago, there was some fella was down on his luck, and he to sell fields, and that's something you wouldn't do. Like there was alcoholics who would fucking do anything for the last drink, but they'd never sell a field.
That's for the kids. That's for
that was to stay in the family. That was just sacrilegious. And if a fella did sell a field for drink or whatever, he was the scum of the earth. But I remember this fella was down his luck. My father approached him and said, "I'll buy that field off you, and anytime in the next 10 years, if you want it back, I'll give it back to you for the same price." And the man was pure delighted, and he said, "Yeah, I'm just..." So whatever it was, but in the end anyway, he used to joke with my father, but never did buy the field back off. So that was the thing, you know what I mean? Everyone had the same fields, and if you had, but like that's just the thing.
Because I'm from Carlow, it's a rural enough area. Like I'm from like a village of like about 1,000 people, so just outside the village, it's just fields everywhere, and you know the names of the fields because they're the surnames of the people who own them. You're like,
but can I ask you, did you, in your lifetime, did you ever remember any of those fields changing hands?
No. Never. No, they're all like they're still in the like generations of farmers, or even if like even if the kids don't become farmers, they'll find someone else. It's like that's still within the family. Like they'll own it. Someone else might like what's the word? Just tend to it, but that you're not selling.
That's it. I've often seen that where it was someone would inherit it and they're not farmers, but they'll let another farmer kind of rent it or whatever, like the widow did. But no way were they selling it.
No,
that was another thing.
Even the concept of renting a field is insane, but that's you're keeping it in the family.
Yeah, you keep it once you still own it. It doesn't matter. Rent it out to some guy who owns it.
I haven't worked it in like 3 generations. It's still my land. But if you were making this film today, would you bother spending time? How can you get that idea across to a foreign audience, or do you just say it's not a foreign?
I would just it's kind of like hurling. There's kind of like a Well, I think there's probably countries out there that are similar. But the Irish thing is, I kind of have a take on this, and I'll go real deep now. But anyway,
go on.
I think that we subconsciously know that we're not going to be here for too long, and we always kind of want to do something that we think will outlast us. You're doing a podcast. We all do comedy. All that kind of stuff. Right? It's dad jokes book or whatever. But you always kind of. But
it's here behind you,
underneath that.
I know, I've seen it up there.
Yeah.
But I just think that Irish people, especially people that live down the country and farmers and all that, it's in theirs that they think that that's their job, and these fields are, they got another field, or they did something to that field, or back then your great grandfather changed the walls there, he moved it around, or he did this, that, and the other. That's their thing, that's their legacy.
I know people who go back and buy like old family homes that they might have grown up in it, and then people left, and even if it's a small cottage or whatever, they're like, no, get it back, do it up, and it'll be in the family because it has memories. And
if they lost it, it's always a sense of loss to get rid of that field. Somewhere. Your grandfather was down on his luck, or there's a story, and he had to sell that field. And
that's what he says early on in the film. Our souls are buried in that field.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they could do a better job of trying to explain it to the American audience, because it's every 10 minutes. It's bullet like this runs deeper. There's history to this, and you're just consistently telling the audience.
Do you know the bit that I love about this movie? I love when there's a scene in a movie where people just act like when Forrest Gump is talking to the grave in Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
I've watched that twice as much as I've watched the movie. I just think if anyone ever said Tom Hanks is not a good actor, I'd say watch this scene. That kind of. And there's always I remember Will Smith hopping in the back of a car with your man in Pursuit of Happiness, and that kind of. There's always that little bit in this movie. It's when he comes in and the parish priest and Tom Berenger are sitting in the parish priest's house, and he tells a story about his mother. And you're like, oh, man, I watched it again last night.
He's crying, and he's like, and I said, let's take in the hay first.
And my father looked up at me with pride in his eyes, like,
it's rough.
And then I was watching it last night for the first time, thinking, I wonder, is he delusioned? Did his father look up at him with pride in his eyes, or is it just that he's deluded? You know what I mean? You can. I'm of the fucking Twitter generation now, where you overanalyze everything, or you play devil's advocate to everything.
But there's a lot to analyze in this, and we start from the start and go through the rough plot of it. Well, I suppose it's easy enough for this film because there isn't. It's fairly. I remember I read one criticism of this morning saying, oftentimes in this film, the fact that it's a play really shines through, and they said that as a negative about it. But I would think that's it's good. So it's very bare bones kind of plot wise.
That wrote down because we just watched Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yes.
I hadn't seen it. I'd seen it years ago.
I haven't seen that in years either.
But it was I saw it like a month ago or so, and it's so good. But I don't care that it's clearly a play.
Yeah, but it's just not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but to castigate something because it's a play.
Can I just say one thing? And I swear to God, right, I used to be involved in drama societies and all as a teenager. And I saw 12 Angry Men, and I kept saying, that should be a play. You should do that as a play, because it was a movie. You should do that as a play. And people, no, you wouldn't. And I remember then coming up to Dublin and living here for long. It was like the late 90s, and all of a sudden there was a play in the Gaiety, and I was like, I told you, this is going. It's a brilliant idea.
It's like all in one room, more or less. It's just talking. It's made to be a play.
I showed it to my wife Sharon.
I thought it was a play.
No, it was all. It was a movie first, but I showed it to my wife Sharon recently. She was like, "That was brilliant."
Yeah. Because I saw it in the West End as a play, and it was. I always thought it was a play as well.
Yeah. No, it was only in the 90s they did it, but like literally back in the 80s when I was involved in drama societies and pantomime societies and all that.
Yeah.
And I said that more times because I'd seen it. I think my brother had shown to me or something. I remember thinking that'd be a great play. It's all in one room. It's perfect.
Well, I was thinking if you want to do a play, we do an Irish version of Glengarry Glen Ross called Glengarry Glen Ross, and you set it down there. So we can do that with the three men.
What will we be selling?
Fields. That's what they're doing in Glen
Gates or something for
Gates. Any leads for Gates. But yeah, so to try and get across the idea of they kind of touched on it a bit when they're talking about the famine or whatever, but the Irish people, Catholics or whatever, would have been pushed west initially and had their lands taken off them. And then during the plantations in Ulster and Cork and that, the lands would have been taken off them again and given to foreigners. And you're kind of pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. And all these people in Connemara would have had a history of losing land. And the famine would have killed off a lot of them and they lost the land again. So it's a very, I don't know, it's deep in the psyche of not having.
Yeah, because when he talks about the Tinkers, he said that they lost their footing.
They lost their footing on the land during the famine. They'll never get it back. Which I don't know. I don't know what the historical. The travellers famously don't have land. That's the point of it.
I think that. Yeah, no, I imagine that they don't. As part of their thing that they always travel, that they didn't settle. So why would you have land? I think the land thing, you can kind of look on that as a kind of I don't know, is this a terrible analogy, but the people in the cities that just don't, that have an apartment and just couldn't give a shit as to whether, no, but I mean, you don't even on a simple note, like my wife couldn't wait to get out of an apartment and get a house with a back garden.
Yeah.
And it wasn't somewhat like, it's just this kind of a thing. Yeah. And I think on a bigger scale, just people, and even now I'd love to move down the country and have like an acre or a half acre, it's just this kind of it's hard to tell anyone who doesn't understand it.
I know, it's kind of set up is it the last line of Gone with the Wind? He kind of comes out of, I haven't seen the movie in ages, but he comes out of nowhere and he's just like, "You're Irish, Kitty. All that's important is the land."
Yeah.
And it's not really the point of the film at all. And at the very end, they're like, "It's all about the land."
I think if you look at a map of the world, and we're so small that the small part that we have of the world, we try to fucking hold on to.
But even when I, because I always have this in my head, it's like, it's the famine, and we were always losing our land, and we were being pushed, and we wanted the land. Every country in the world has that history, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as if we're unique in the fact that...
Or even the likes of, say, renting property or buying property. Like, it's up in the 80% of people in Ireland. Yeah. It's only like something in Germany, it's like 30% of people own their own property. And in most European countries, it's only... We're obsessed with owning. We have to... It's ours.
Yeah. They say a lot of, like, the European city models or whatever, which makes... So, like, a family... We've got the tenants' houses here, or whatever, they were built in the 80s.
Yeah.
You move in when you're a young couple, you have 8 children, you have a big house. Then when they leave, you don't stay in a fucking 6-bed house in the middle of the city as a widower or just 2 old people. You move to a small flat or a community or whatever. But here, you don't, that's not the way things are done here.
Yeah, you wouldn't
stay in the house. You stay in an empty house because you own it, and that's your bit of the world.
Because I'm a paramedic with Dublin Fire Brigade, someone said to me there recently, I'm in a great position for finding out houses that are going to come on the market. I'm like in the middle of doing CPR and some other one goes, "Hey, Mick, you know the way you're looking for a house in Inchicore? There's going to be one. Get in early."
We slip you a bit of money if something goes on fire. Just just wait now a few minutes.
Or if I had a friend who was an auctioneer, it should be.
yeah. But so. Yeah, just take it for granted that it's people of that part of the world at that. So it's set in the 1930s.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with land.
And the other thing I read about, because you mentioned about reviews, is that, and I was talking about it, is I wrote this down, a 10 veneer of Christianity. They kind of moved away from, and so there's like a pagan side to the bull. He even stops the lads going into the church at one stage. I'm getting ahead of myself again, but it's just,
and he says, because we did an episode a while ago about, there was an anthropologist from the States came over and went out to one of the islands off the coast of Ireland. He did a study of the people there.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you think of those people as being like as Catholic as it gets, but he was talking to them and they're like, they're very spiritual and very religious, but they're more pagan. And in the same as this, they see the priest as a young blow-in from Maynooth or Dublin or over that way, and he wouldn't know anything about real spirituality. But they also don't want to cross him because they don't want
it's a couple of
excommunicate them.
It's a couple of forces coming to play because the church had such a hold on Ireland for so long.
Yeah.
That and he has no time for it. So he's pushing away from the church. He's pushing, and he a couple of different times he belittles them. He tells them that no priest when no priest starved during the famine, he except for us poor people. It's a kind of like he was with the crowd. I'm with them. I'm speaking for the masses here against you. And the other thing is the law. The law here is portrayed. Yeah, like he says to the Yank with his stick, "This is the law."
Yeah.
Don't mind your. And then when he says to the sergeant, "I know the law. You can't unless put a trespass sign in any show." So these obstacles you're putting up in front of me, you're just between you and the church and all, you're just getting in our bloody way. Like that's his attitude.
These things will come and go. The only thing that's consistent is the land.
Yeah,
unless some bastard puts concrete on it.
And he's already thinking about Tig is going to have it, and he's talking to Tig. He's getting the matchmaker. The matchmaker, by the way, is John B. Keane's brother.
Is it? Yeah.
So he's talking to matchmaker about will she bear him an heir?
Yeah.
He's thinking down the line. This field that we've been working on.
That's he looks familiar actually. The matchmaker.
Yeah, he's a big enough part in it.
So John B. Keane wrote this as a play in the 60s, I think.
It was. I'll tell you, it was 1990 came out, so it was 15 years. It was only like 75 or something, I think.
Yeah. So that he wrote. Because Keane has another play, The Matchmaker, where I think they were doing a run in the gate for a while.
Because he's in Sive as well.
Sive, yeah.
I might be wrong.
Oh,
on that.
sorry. Actually, Sive is in. Yeah, Tommy Tiernan played the matchmaker in Sive. That's all right.
I might be wrong on the year for 75. That seems a bit soon, but I don't think it was.
No, it was the late 60s or early 70s.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. It's as old as you think it is. Yeah.
No, but it's an old. Yeah, I was down in Listowel actually last week, and there's a statue of John B. Keane. Do you ever see it? It's a very stupid statue. It's him. He looks like he's hailing a taxi. It's just one of the greatest literary lines from the plays, and just a statue of him. Hand up. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But
as usual, in no state to drive home.
No, it's fucking get out.
That's one of the like he has a 2-minute video of him at his kitchen table years ago, just talking about drinking, and then it pans to the wife, and she's like, he's tried to give it up before, and after about 2 days for like. Would you ever have a drop? Would you ever just go back to it? But he talks beautifully about.
Did you ever see it?
The end of the pint glass.
No, it's amazing.
I must have a look at that.
He's fantastic. Just because it's focused on him, and he's like, I don't just like the taste of the drink. I like the sound of the splash it makes as it plops in, and there's nothing better than a drink after a drink. And he's talking about this, and you're like, this man's a fucking rabid alcoholic. And it cuts to his wife, and she's, curlers in the hair, for like, Joe, here's this battle axe now, we should be saying he's a devil. And he's like, he likes to drink, and that's the way we like him now. He tries to give up, and he'd be going around slamming doors, and after a while, we put a drink in front of him and say, you drink that now, John.
Jeez.
That's the way he likes it, and that's the way we like
because if you read quotes books, all these quotes books, he's come out with more brilliant quotes.
He's great. He's a great writer, and he's for rabid alcohol.
I myself come up with the best stuff when I'm drunk.
That's it, yeah. So there's a play and then adapted into a film in the mid-90s.
Yeah, because I was looking, was there much? They didn't adapt much of it, but what happened is there was Ray McNally was all set to play the part of the bull.
Yeah.
And he's a big kind of a prominent, big guy, and the character was a big guy, and the whole time he's not a bully, but he's an alpha.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He walks into the pub and everyone goes quiet.
Yeah.
So Ray McNally died, and then there was so they had to rewrite loads of stuff because Richard Harris wanted it so much that he showed up for the audition in full costume.
Yeah.
And in character,
because I wouldn't recognize Richard Harris.
Richard Harris is only a small man, but
he's slim, he's big,
but
bigger.
They padded the coat, and the thing with the beard really made him.
Yeah,
as it came out the side of his face. Yeah,
Richard Harris, I suppose, more modernly would be known as Dumbledore and the little glasses. By the time I've seen interviews with him, and I was back watching. I think I showed that video to you before. Of he's on some late night show, Carson, I think, in the States, and he's telling a story about Macbeth. Yeah. Did you ever hear that?
No.
He said he was in London when he was starting out as an actor, and they were doing Macbeth, and he was playing the Doctor, and the Doctor only has one line. It's after Lady Macbeth killed herself, and Macbeth says, "How goes Lady Macbeth?" And the Doctor says, "She's dead, my lord." And Macbeth launches into like one of the big famous soliloquies that all the actors really want to do.
Yeah.
But whoever was playing Macbeth was some English lad, and Harris said the whole time in rehearsals, weeks leading up to it, he was just constantly just racist, anti-Irish shit, and he was just giving them shit the whole time.
Yeah.
So Harris is like, I'll fucking fix him. And on the opening night of the play, and this guy's been waiting to do the soliloquy for years. This is like the pinnacle of acting. And on the night of the play, he goes, how goes Lady Macbeth? And Harris is like, yeah, she's grand, and just walks off. So he's standing there. Yeah, she's fine, she'll be out in a minute. So he's standing there in front of the whole audience like, well, fuck, right? So I don't know how true of a story that is, but yeah, but like whenever you see Harris, he's quite a slight man, and
he is. I remember reading something. He's only like 5'6" or something. And,
him and Peter O'Toole, they're both like small, diminutive men.
But in this, there's loads of him standing up.
Small, or is a normal
5'6".
height? Yeah, normal. Yeah.
They don't ever show him beside anyone. John Hurt is the only one they show him beside, and John Hurt is only a small fella.
Yeah,
I like another little piece of trivia. John Hurt didn't use prosthetics. He had crowns. He got a dentist to pull out his crowns. Yeah, which if you've ever had crowns, like that's serious.
He was that into it. John Hurt by name.
But he was brilliant in it. Like
he's very, very good.
So basically, the bull, and as you find out, his parents rented this field. And this field is in the middle of nowhere, and they brought it up to be this green field that it is.
Yeah,
it's 3.5 acres.
I suppose to get across if there's Americans or other, because we're talking about Irish people are obsessed with the land and they just want more land and it's like literally just a tiny corner. Irish people just want a little tiny bit of grass to call their own.
Yeah,
and then that's it.
This is huge.
Oh, yeah.
This is,
but what got me is, I remember one day, the no trespassing, again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but they kicked out all the cattle. And there was about 15 cattle. I was like, they're not going to get by on fish on that amount of acres.
Because that's true as well. Yeah. But he's shown as being... He's not exactly a rich man, as you say. He's sort of alpha at the time, but he's not like a wealthy man.
He obviously has another bit of land or a bit of this and a bit of that, but his main thing is this field. And you find out how you see him picking seaweed up and throwing it up on their back, himself and his son. And it looks heavy, and they're coming up over the mountain. And then he said, "There she is. There's the field, real bright." And then he said, "That's how this field became as green as it is with the seaweed." And then this will be yours, Tig, one day, and all this, and everything's grand. And next thing, you find out that he's paying the widow for the rent of the field.
Yes,
and she's looking a bit sheepish, looking around the whole lot anyway. And then you find out that Tig, the son, is going around and hassling her, doing the wolf impressions.
The father Ted wolf impressions in the night.
Smoking her out of the house.
Getting up on the roof, putting the slate over the chimney to put the smoke. And with him is this fella, the bird, the local gobshite.
Well, when they're walking up to the house, there's a great line of Tig looks a bit skittish or something, and the Buzz like, she's just a woman just like your mother. She's just like his only concept of
it
was
but he was so obviously the bull didn't know about this anyway. So anyway, you see her going into the pub the next day, and the whole pub kind of going stopping, and goes, I can't serve you at this hour. Women were never.
Is that? I wrote that. Is that a thing?
Days,
you couldn't serve women until after a certain time because all the men are in there locked.
Yeah, certain hours of the day and certain days. The weekend, I think you could. A woman could go into the pub. Do you know there was a pub? You know the Black Line or whatever. You know the one in the middle. That was. Up until like 10, maybe 15 years ago, that was men only pub. Because the village I come from, they have buses. There's a crowd down there that have loads of buses.
Yeah.
And for the crack, like if they were up for a concert and someone wanted to go to the bathroom, they'd collect everyone at the RDS.
Yeah.
He would purposely pull up outside there so that all the women, would go in to use the bathroom, and the barman would have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a men only. There was a few of them around Dublin, but that one in particular.
Jesus.
Men only pubs.
It's closed now, I think.
Is it, or is it changed?
I'm thinking there's two. There's the Black Forge up by there, but then there's no.
Oh no, I know the one you're thinking of, not that one. The actual one in the village.
Right, it was men only.
Men only, up till about 15 years ago.
Oh God.
Because I lived in Inchicore, and that was a men only pub.
Yeah. Say it was some crack.
But if you want to make money and the fucking the owl for the
real alcoholics,
that's the best money. Yeah.
That's like what would be the point? Just going down and like.
That's why the G&Ts are so, because it's just when the women will come in, with those Guinness drinker fellas.
Yeah.
That's where they didn't make no money off the G&Ts. So it was off the husband who were making the money.
What's that place down in Cork? Is it CBGs or CC whatever? But it's no phones allowed.
Oh right, that sounds good.
And so if you take out your phone in there, you get kicked straight out. And there's none of this because the signs are up beforehand. There's no going over and saying now there's a warning. There's not. You're gone.
Straight out.
And you can leave your point. You can fuck off.
Great place for a table quiz. When I used to do table quizzes, I'm like. I hate that,
I know, yeah.
But it forces people to talk to each other. I remember going in there trying to get ready before doing a gig down there. I was like, I'll just pop in somewhere and write some notes. And I realised everyone's chatting, and there was two lads at the bar, at opposite ends of the bar, and there's lads in between. I don't know what your man had said to him, but he was like, "What? Say it again! Say it again! You wouldn't say it like that if I was..." And I was like, he's after saying something racist. And then he just goes, "Langer." And the fucking place was about to erupt. It looked like a fucking scene from Roadhouse. Just like lads throwing bottles, everyone going mad. It's like, you can't say Langer.
That's the worst thing you can say.
That's the worst. You can't have that word in there. But so you haven't said that Tig's played by Sean Bean.
Yeah, and he slips into the English accent of it. He plays it. Other than that, he does play it brilliant. He plays a kind of just a bit of a
meek kind of. It's a strange.
It's one of his first roles.
Yeah,
and it's funny because after this, he's almost typecast as the opposite, where he's like a manly man. And even in this, he looks a bit older. He's meant to be like a child.
Sure,
but he's like clearly a 30-something-year-old man.
Yeah,
and he's after that he goes into like Bond, and he's in Patriot Games, and he's like he's always the villain. Or maybe he's in Sharp, but but he's like he looks a hard, fucking dangerous lad. And in this, he's like, he's meek and he's Daz.
He does. I thought watching it again. I watched it last night. He does play it really well. Do you know who doesn't? Is the Yank? I think Tom Burns.
He's a little too.
And he's got the worst haircut I've ever. I was watching that. I was like, fucking hell. So Yvonne decides to sell the field, and that's what I said. She goes into the pub, and so the publican is the local auctioneer and everything. You get that? Like my father had.
Yeah, it runs.
He had this shop. He had the filling station. He had a farm. You know, like there's towns that are, you know,
it's run by one person. Those
and they could be the undertaker, and they could be this, that, and the other. You know, so he's obviously the auctioneer that owns the pub, and he's the clued in. And what I got is he's so laid back the whole time. If your man was shouting and he's going, "Well, bull, I tell you now, you know this kind of cool." I know loads of fellas like that. They just don't get phased. I'd fucking love to be like that. Just that no one will stress you out now.
Well, no, here's the thing about now. I did notice when the widow was coming in. I wonder. This is from mid-90s. It's very similar to the woman from Jaws. I don't know. Maybe they're both dressed in black. I don't know. There's something about just the way it's shot and the way she's just walking through the town. Yeah. And everyone's turning to look at her, and she's just dressed all in black.
And all the tingers are outside, and they're going, bottle of milk for the baby.
Yeah.
It's good. But that's Lannan. So she's walking through Lannan.
Yes.
So that's as I say, that's on the fjord in Galway, and it's picturesque. So they turned the whole town like that. So it's obviously concrete roads, but they made it dirt.
They had to do it up for a bit.
But there's one scene where the bird is cycling off, and you can see the brand spanking new concrete wall in the distance. But so they did up the local pub and the whole lot, and so anyway, she comes in and says she's going to sell the field, and even the lads in the bar are going, "That's the Bulls' field." Yeah. No, it's my field. And they're all, Jesus, so the bird, the local gobshite, and obviously alcoholic or whatever, he hops on his bike and cycles out. Can't wait to tell the bull.
Well, so he accidentally lets slip to the Tinkers that the bull killed his donkey.
Can I just say, by the way, from Tipperary, there's certain fellas like that would be kind of an alpha type of personality.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Star Wars, you know, where the Sith Lord will always have like a sidekick.
Yeah.
There's like that out down the country. You'll have like this big farmer who'll have a sidekick, who's always a gobshite.
It's a hype man. You need someone there who's just like your clear second.
Who's no threat to them. That's basically what they want him there for. He'll do their bidding, no questions asked.
Yeah. Women do the same.
Do they?
It's called boyfriends. Yeah. No, he's feeding them information, and he's afraid of him, but he knows if he cozies up to the bull, he'll get drink money or a bit of power.
The bull is well able to come in and buy around for the pub and stuff.
Which
like that,
took a note of that. Buys around for one note.
Yeah,
I don't know what. I don't know what sort of days they were.
But a real strategy. I remember my father telling me years ago. I'm sorry, I'm going off track again. But he's down the hall one time, and some fella came in and asked my father for a loan of £20, which is a lot of money at the time. Yeah, he said, "Can I get? I'm after coming the whole way over from. I have no money on me, and can I get 20?" And my father said, "Yeah, sure, I can get you. You know, because he used to shop in our shop or whatever." And he took the £20. He went to the shop. There was a big thing on the hall, and bought drinks and crisps for all the kids there, for all the people to see. Yeah. And then never paid my father back the 20 quid. So my father then was thinking, that dickhead now, not only does he owe me 20 quid, but the whole village think he's
great
lad, yeah. So that reminded me when I saw the bull buying everything. Yeah. It's a strategy more than anything.
Yeah, because then two scenes later he's counting his money.
So he buys 2 rounds for everyone, and there's one off screen. So the American does it, I think, once or twice as well. So there's like at least 4 or 5 rounds been bought for everyone in the bar in this film, in the space of like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
It's a great time. Even on small scale, like there used to be these lads that come in and they weren't trained as paramedics into the job, and they come in on overtime, and normally if they were to come in on overtime they'd go to a station where there was a lot of fellas going in so that they wouldn't be noticed, because the ambulance is the overtime does the ambulance. But these fellas that come to their local station just come into the likes of Tala, and we'd be expecting 2 in to do the ambulance, and this fella would rock in, and he's not, he shouldn't have really taken a position, but he'd bring buns. And everyone would go, weren't they lovely buns your man brought? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing 15 hours in the fucking ambulance. Like, the mind he'd stick his buns up his hole. There's always that kind of a show from people. So that's what reminded me when he was going in buying the drink for everyone. And just keep everyone on side, because, they were afraid of him, and they were also kind of liked him for the,
I'd say that's how I've got and kept every job I've ever had. They're just like, but you need to get rid of someone. Not the chatty lad. Don't get rid of the lad who's like, I'll make teas, I'll make coffees, I'll go around and I'll know everyone's names and be like, don't get rid of him. I get rid of him. No one knows him. He does 90% of the work in the office. Fuck him.
Yeah. He's very quiet. Don't mind it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's up for sale, and they do, and they have the auction, and he comes down, He goes off trying to get money. That's the thing. So he hasn't got. So he decides he'll sell turf to the Islanders, which I thought was.
Yeah.
And as the Islanders are going off, they're talking in Irish, and Tig says to him, "What are they?" He said they're saying a prayer for your brother Shamey. So they keep going on about Shamey, the brother Shamey, and he keeps going on about and the bird mentions him a few times and all that. And you find out, spoiler alert, you find out that Shamey committed suicide when he was 13, I think.
Yeah, 13. Yeah.
Which
6 months and 24 days.
Yeah,
because he keeps saying it.
And, and Tig then was the youngest son, and the bird says you were only a baby at the time, you wouldn't remember. So he was obviously only 3 or 4 or whatever. So so that's another insight into the kind of life that they had.
He's a really interesting. Well, yeah, the Irish thing when they're going off in the boat and they're saying "Our Father" in Irish.
Yeah,
that's another kind of. Tig doesn't know it, and he says they're not teaching anything in those schools.
They're not teaching any Irish.
So and they wouldn't be, because then all the schools that were set up, especially post famine, it's trying to get rid of Irish as a language.
Yeah,
and it's another bit of, because there's a big speech I think we jumped over when he's like, no man in the locale would buy my land or whatever, and he said it could be an outsider, and he goes,
outsiders,
outsiders, the same outsiders that took corn from the tables when they were starving in the fields, and he does his big famine speech. He's obviously is a real. So his son not learning Irish is another
the first time you see it. I forgot about that. That's these the outsiders. It's a great speech.
Yeah. But
and then he calms down at the end of it.
But Irish is another thing that's been taken from him, and the only consistency is the land.
And he blames himself for Shamey's death, because seemingly when Tig is born, Shamey hears him screaming at the mother that there's only that field's only big enough to support one child or one family. So Tig's going to have to emigrate. And then Shamey goes and kills himself, and straight away I was like, you could go to America.
Yeah. You can emigrate.
He might even try to hop onto a boat.
The famine ships, but the way he said, it was just like it was but they didn't know what, because there was no going back. That was the because they would have the Irish wake or whatever they call it when someone was heading off to America. American wake or whatever, because they didn't know if that person they'd ever see that person again. It was mad. I remember my history teacher telling me that, and I was like, "Fucking hell, it's only over there. Where's the map? What's going on?"
Sorry, it's only 500 quid in a plane, New York back.
What's and they
the red eye.
It's the difference, and whether they'd even make it on the bloody plane on the boat. But so I know I skipped over that, but
when we got as far as the auction, the bit I was laughing at the auction is that the Yank has an umbrella. They're really trying to set him aside. All the men just standing out getting wet, like proper men. He has an umbrella.
Was it before that they saw the car and they were like, a motor?
A motor, yeah.
And I don't like the bird said to Tig, "I don't like the look of that, Tig. That's it's bad news."
Yeah.
And sure enough,
and someone put a £1 note in the collection basket.
Yeah,
Mass. He's like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, it was showing up the rest of them.
So when then some mentioned about that the Yank was down in the pub buying drink for the whole pub.
Yeah,
he was going through money like. I can't remember what the expression was, but they were just shocked at this fella.
Yeah,
which is obviously because Bull has more money than anyone else seemingly in the town.
Yeah,
and then it just pales in comparison to the.
Well, he seems to have it because he's not a drinker; he's just a worker, and
but he still seems to be struggling to put together money.
Well, because he's buying the field though, like it's £50. Yeah. No one else seems to have a shilling.
Like what would £50 have been like? Because he was saying he was going to sell.
The two cows for £30.
For £30. So a cow at the moment would cost you best part of $1,000. So that was probably that wouldn't be a fair synopsis. The $2,000 is what he was looking for. Maybe
I don't know. It's hard to add the 1930s in the country. I don't know.
But so they have anyway, and the Yank starts bidding, and he thought he was going to get it for 50, and then it goes 55 and 60 and then something happens that breaks up the auction. I can't remember.
She comes out and stops it.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Yeah, no, we won't." I don't know.
There's a reserve of
£100 on it,
and someone throws mud at her. I really like the Bull's character because he there's a few different bits where maybe the lad slashed the tires, and initially when the donkey's killed as well, he always takes the blame for it, and then afterwards he'd be like,
gives out to
you shouldn't have killed the donkey, and he's just like, if he deserved to be stabbed, I'd stab him again. No, Jason, you shouldn't have stabbed that man.
But because there's about 3 times in the movie where you should have gone, that fuck all to do with me.
Yeah, exactly. But he takes it and he stands up to protect the bird or his son or other people. So he's a weird sort of loyalty. And again, when they throw mud at your one, he's like, no, I will rip her off financially, but we won't throw mud at her.
But he helps her onto the wagon as she's leaving.
Yeah.
I suppose in his mind, he's not ripping her off because he sees he's put so much work
and
into
then let her through. There's a great thing afterwards right out of the church, and he goes, out of my way, and they all just part. Everyone just gets the book out of the way. So he goes off then and tries to come up with more money, and then he's trying to sell the cows and the whole lot. And in the meantime, the Yankees are about town, and he's throwing money around, and they're all talking about him, and there's the build up to the second auction. So he goes to the Yank is great friends with the parish priest and calls him by his first name, which even today I find weird.
Oh no, we did as well, because we had the youngest priest in Ireland. He used to write for the Independent, and his name was Father Paddy.
Oh, right.
Never found out.
No, but to actually call him Paddy, to just call him Paddy. You wouldn't do it. Like, we'd have Father Bobby. Everybody knows Father Bobby. You'd never say Bobby. How are you, Bobby? You'd be what the fuck are you talking to?
There's actually a scene where he's showing the priest around, and the Yank says, get in the car, and the priest is like, get in the car. And I couldn't tell if he's meant to be kind of, not used to cars or whatever. Because when he heard that, when he said initially, get in the car, I was like, that's a bit, you can't talk to a priest like that. And I wonder, was he meant to be?
I think his name is Carl or somebody. Get in the Carl. So Carl, what do you think? I'll tell you, Carl. And you're like, it's 2023, and I'm watching it going, that doesn't sit right.
It's unsettling, and I'm sure they were trying to get that across in the.
Disrespect all around from the Yank anyway. So and the worst haircut ever in the fucking.
That's why he's wearing the hat so much.
It just goes to show, though. I was like, Tom Burns is a really handsome fella, but with it just goes to show, with a shit haircut, you still look ridiculous.
And what a good haircut can do for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very conscious of the fact that we're on film here.
That's why I'm wearing a hat.
I have gel in my hair today, so I'm all right. But so the second auction is coming up, and I'm trying to remember he calls around. His canteler kicked off the field.
The policeman has the notice in his hat, which I thought was very good.
And he says to him, I know the law. You can't, unless you have it's signed by the owner. And it was signed by her, but it was on Presbyterian paper. So, as in the church. So he goes straight to the church, and who's in there? Only the Yank, and they're sitting by the fireplace in the middle of a lovely day. And he goes in, and he's talking to them, and they said, that woman for 10 years was or was bullied every night or whatever. And then he realizes, and he turns around to Tig and says, tell me now, don't lie to me. And he said, well, it was only a bit of fun or something like that. He said, go and wait outside. So then again, he doesn't take the blame, doesn't go, that fuck all to do with me. He just goes, fair enough, and whatever. And then he tells the story that I was talking about earlier on. And the story is that when his father rented that field, they were bringing in the hay. They felt the rain was coming, and they were in a bit of a rush. So the mother started to help him, and the three of them were at it. And on the third day of bringing in the hay, she fell and obviously died. And the father knelt down beside her, and he whispered an act of contrition and asked God to forgive her sins. And then turned to me and said, go get the doctor. And I said to him, we'll bring in the hay first. And my father had, I'm getting emotional telling this. And my father said, I said, we'll bring, and my father looked up at me with tears of pride in his eyes, and I won't go to heaven or hell without that field. And he's like, you're like, fucking hell, Richard Harris, like,
that's, I'm not going to face it.
And they're still not phased, the priest, and he's going, well, it's the law, it's up for auction.
Because if a man told you that, you'd be like, you're fucking insane, you should have helped your mother. Like, what are you not doctors? You don't know she's dead.
Well, I suppose it's that thing of, like you were saying earlier, of you can't tell, like, his father looks up, is it prideful eyes, or is it what kind of a monster am I after making here?
Well, I was going to say, as a paramedic for 25 years, even I was thinking, fair play to you. In this CPR or anything. Yeah, right. Bring in the hay.
Well, sure, she's dead now. She'll be dead in 20 minutes. Get that hay in.
And the priest isn't going to bring her back to life.
So, so anyway, so he tells that speech, and it still has nothing. So, the auction is coming up, and something else happens that he ends up coming down to the pub again and finding out that the Yank is up at the.
They go to the dance. Then there's
there's the dance. I don't know when at that stage.
The young woman trying to flirt with Sean Bean's character, with Tig.
Yeah.
Well, this is because I remember that scene because it's there's a great compilation, Tig Furlong, the rugby player.
Right.
It's just a combination of the ball going, go on, Tig, faster. And it cuts to Tig knocking into lads like, come on, go on, faster, and it's fantastic.
You know the bit though, he's going, come on, Tig, spin her around, and then when she falls, she's like, Jesus, Tig, what were you doing?
That
reminds me of Meet the Fockers when they're going, come on, take this game serious, spike the ball, and then he hits your one, he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
The scene where Yeah, where Tyke's spinning her one round and round. That doesn't age well. That looks very...
No,
it looks
does.
so bad.
Yeah.
And that's... So you were asking the cinematographer. It's Jack Conroy. He passed away a couple of years ago, but
go easy on him.
Yeah. Well, no, it's because he's so good. We watched... the first film review we ever did, Film Club, was Excalibur.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
Med and Care and kind of Tipperary.
Yeah. And so that's like near 9 or 10 years before this.
Yeah.
And it looks amazing. And then there's some shots in this where I'm like, how the fuck did you think?
Yeah.
Like that spinning shot on the like Sean Bean's face.
Yeah.
Is just, doesn't nothing age as well, but that's it.
Yeah.
Especially the long pause of like everyone's kind of hushed as they're like, she's gonna fall.
Yeah.
And then it goes for like 10 more seconds.
I love that, like, it's the slightest fall. She just goes to her knees and he kind of drops her down, and then everyone's like, oh my God, like,
it's like she died. Like she
what
died.
happened if she fell off the roof? You know what I mean?
But he also could have just stopped.
Yeah, and then his reaction when he turns around, he's all smiling. He's going, "Oh fuck, okay, this isn't." Yeah, everyone's.
I suppose that was the point. It was a metaphor that he couldn't stop it. He was caught in a cycle.
He was caught in
pain and land, and it's a bit heavy.
And then, so they find out something happens anyway. That they end up going up to the falls, and the Yank is up there.
Yeah, and he's after buying the falls.
The bull comes down, has a chat with the pub, and basically buys everyone a drink again. The strategy. Tells the bird to stay outside because he wants him, because he knows he's a bit of a mout.
Yeah.
And tells them all, look, we're going to give this fella a bit of a fright. That's my fucking field. And everyone's fair enough,
Yeah.
Even the auctioneer. So he's like, yeah, grand. Yeah. Okay, bull. And anyway, so they let the bird back in and he buys everyone a drink. And he goes up to meet the Yank and gets Tig to give him a bit of a scare.
Yeah.
Turns out your man's able to box. And he starts baiting the head off Tig. In fairness, Tig, again, watching it last night, took some fucking hiding.
He did.
Yeah.
He kept going. He got punched in the face, I would say, 25 times.
His dad was like, get up.
He got an uppercut.
Yeah.
Like,
he got an uppercut at one stage. Just should have just knocked you out.
Yeah.
And
even at some point, because he's covered in blood and he's looking around, you can see he can't see anything. He's just feeling out in the distance to try and find this lad, and he just punches him.
Then he goes and hugs him at one stage. He goes, but then,
I couldn't beat him when I could see, but maybe it's the no.
So as the two of them then kind of fall, and the two of them the bull comes over with his big shtick and hits the Yank across the head.
He hits Tig first because he's so disappointed with him for not beating
I think
the
he
Yank.
kicks him and then hits the Yank or something. But brought the two of them into the water and start fucking dunking their heads.
Cause I forgot this part completely until watching it again. Because he keeps, I guess, on the way up to the field or the waterfall, wherever that's happening, Tig asks about Shamey for like the first time and asked him about how old he is or at the time or whatever, and he knows to the day how old Shamey was, and he couldn't tell anything about Tig. He's like, he just doesn't know anything about, like, I don't know how old you are or whatever, but Shamey was 13 years 6 months 24 days and then when they get there and he starts beating the American lad, saying that you were trying to shame me, and it just transitions into that, and it's beautiful that he just has like a moment of psychosis, and he just starts. That's why the American dies, because he wouldn't have killed him. He would have just hurt him.
Because he kept saying afterwards, he's all right. Then he picked him up and was trying to fucking dance.
And he said to Tig before they went up, "Is like, what you did to the donkey was too far. This is just a beating. Just go up and beat him."
Yeah.
Because the other thing he mentioned then as well about how he didn't talk to the wife for 18 years. So you imagine Tig must be 18 or a little bit older.
Yeah, I think he said 20 years at some points.
Yeah, well, so that was how long. However, did he say shame? Oh no, he didn't talk to the wife for 18 years, and I just thought they must have stopped talking around the time.
It is, I think it's just after.
And when she didn't started talking to him, she said it's a long time for a man to be mourning. Carrying that with you or whatever. So that was obviously...
That's how I inferred that it wasn't... Because it's... for up until that point when she starts chatting, it's almost like she say... everyone... Or you kind of assume that she's not talking to him.
Yeah.
And it's the other way around, because she is obviously willing to talk.
Yeah.
And it's that he's still held by... Like, he's wrapped up in... He blames himself for this, like, his son's death. But anything about the area and, like, the locality and the hardships that we've already talked about and the death and the emigration and everything... And then, that's probably why the child went and killed himself.
Probably. But it's the first thing he says to the widow at the start of the film is 10 years is a long time to be in mourning. And she's...
Yeah, and he's 18 years in mourning.
Yeah. But
then
he's a very complicated character.
But Tig heads off then at one stage. I don't know, was it shortly after that? Oh, sorry. After what we missed was after talking in the priest's house.
Yeah.
He gives out to Tig for a hassling. He goes off.
Yeah.
And he meets up with the tinker's daughter. Yeah. And he's chatting to her and all that. So obviously they've built up a bit of a thing. And so when he gets back anyway after the fight, he ends up heading off with her.
Yeah, there's one scene where he tries to beat her with a stick, and she's like, or was
I have a strong back.
I'll crack this off your back. Well, I have a very strong back. Is like that's set off a bunch of young men to be like, well, this is how you talk to women. I think I have a chance here.
The chat up lines, and then he said the next morning,
so
he goes, if your father ever lays a hand on you again, I'll kill him. And she's the big smile from her. She's like, that's what I would look for in a man.
Yeah. Because
that's when Bull then finds him later on. I guess because it's one of the traveller kids goes and tells the traveller parents, and then they come down and see
the donkey.
So then Bull thinks that it's Tig after ratting him out. So at this stage he kind of thinks that the bird's ratting him out.
He brought he had a bit of an inquisition in the pub with the bird, and the bird was going, no way, it's not me, it's Tig, he's with the tinker's daughter and all that. Go home and ask him. And of course when they go home, he goes home, there he is waiting in the house, and he's saying, get that whore out of my house and all that. And he said, don't call her a whore again, I'll kill you. And he said, is that you talking to me and all this? And it's just like so he goes, ask her how did they find out about the donkey. She betrayed him. So he never goes into that, but she obviously did.
I thought it was that little blonde kid who saw it and went and told them. But then I think there must be because he.
Ask him about. Did you tell her you killed the Yank? That was it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he must say, he's like, that's how you got her to spread your legs.
Yeah.
Just by telling her you murdered someone. So obviously he's just stuck now. He's like, anytime this comes up, I have to keep telling people I kill people. I'll kill you. Yeah.
Going around Copperface Jack's going, I killed a man.
And they do it again.
Will you have a drink?
How old's your father? I'll fucking kill him.
Take the shirt off Vanny Man's back.
Yeah. But so that they find the big grey stallion of a donkey.
And they know then to drain the lake, and then they find before that though, then
but that made me think it's not 1930s Ireland when they go and start draining lakes and these cranes come in and they're
the crane was like the oldest. I thought when they were bringing the crane along and the man is hanging off it like it's the fucking best thing ever. But we missed out there is that the priest, he comes back after that night and he's has a cold. He's like at home and he's shivering and he's got a cold, the bull, and the bird comes in and goes, don't go to mass because the priest is going to read you from the altar. So he goes to mass and he sits right up the front as if to say, you can't fucking. And he basically, but what I thought was brilliant in this, and if you watch it again, the whole church pans around really slowly and back to the bull, and right behind the bull is this guy with 2 children, and the kids must be only like 7 or 8, and they're staring at the bull. And it's just brilliant. Like, they're like, you're a brilliant actress, you're actress, whatever age you are, but you can feel the tension as you. So he's given out to the church, and they're all looking at the bull as if to say, "That's you he's on about."
Yeah,
And it's like there was a murder here, and you all know it, and you've been asked questions, and no one will answer, and you're as bad as he is, and you're as bad as everyone. And get out to my church. The church is closed, and get out. And then he goes, "Get out, get out." And of course, they all get out, and then the last one is him. He's left standing looking. He plays it brilliant. I always call him Charlo. He was Charlo in the thing. I forget the name of the actor.
I looked up his name because I have it in my head. He's just a paedophile. What's he in?
He's as a character.
As a character, of course.
He was in a TV show years ago.
He's a bit of a character.
He's a bit of a what?
He was in a TV show, and it was like the love-hate of the time because everyone was talking about it. Roddy Doyle did a TV, and he was the father, and his name was Charlo.
I think he was also in Love Hate. I think he might have been a guard in Love Hate. He's been a guard, I think.
He just plays a real piece of shit in a few things.
Oh, he's good, but he does all right, but he's brilliant in this.
That's actually one of my favourite scenes from it. As soon as, because then everyone else leaves and it's just him and Bull, and then when Bull leaves,
and he stares him out,
and then he tells everyone to separate, but he closes the gate. He starts to close the gate, and then Bull starts screaming at him about like closing the gate, just like the famine times, and starts talking about all the times the church have abandoned you.
That's when he said that no priest starved during the.
I wonder how it all went down in. Do you remember at the time when it came out of like what did people feel about the? Because it's fairly anti-church.
I didn't. I don't remember any. I didn't see it till it came out on DVD, and then when I did see it. And my friend was saying, I probably saw it maybe 93 or 94 because I was in the airport police about 96. And I remember I had watched it and then watched it again. If I'd really like a movie, I'd watch it again. I'd watched it twice. And when I was in the airport police, your man said, I have, where that was all filmed, you'll have to come up. Of course, I was like, that was my selling point. I went straight up to see it. And I couldn't get over. He gave me a tour. I was driving and he showed me around the place. Up around Lannan, like everything it says, if you look into it, it was filmed in Galway, Mayo, this, that, and the other. So it's basically the Galway Mayo is just as you drive from Lannan to Westport, or it's all there.
It's near Delphi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all up there.
And so it's all still there. Because I'll tell you, that's a lot better than I just got back from Bruges, went on holiday last weekend. And I was like, great, that's my favourite film in Bruges. And I was like, I want to go see every location possible in it. And I got there. Bruges is about the size of Inchicore. It's tiny.
It's tiny.
And the pub that they're always in, shut for their annual holidays. So it wasn't there. I was like, fine, I'll go see the Basilica of the Holy Blood. And I got there, filmed in a different church.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because the church isn't even there.
It's not. It's a different church.
I thought there'd be a guy down at the bottom just being like, it's awful steep up there. Not being funny, mate.
Because it's not even... Oh, no, because that's the steps to the tower.
Yeah.
No, I did that.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
It's probably not much of a walk. It didn't, because on the outside it doesn't look.
In fairness, when they do say, it's like, because there's like 3 levels to it of like different types of stairs as you go up, and the first one's like, this isn't so tight, and then the second one's like, all right, this is a little bit, and then you get up to, you're like, oh, those fat Americans are not getting up in there.
Because there's one in Smithfield you can do, and I've walked up it a few times, and it did. When you get to the top of your legs, you're like, Jesus.
In Smithfield.
In Smithfield, It's
the Tower of the Gemison.
Part of the hostel there is outside.
Yeah.
But when they were building that, I can't remember. I was working down there, but for some reason I took up and down 2 or 3 times, and then the next day I was like, I had pains and muscles in my leg that I never realised I had. So so then he gives the speech about no priest start during the famine, and that's not the first time you locked us out, and it's only us poor people and the whole lot, and you see them all kind of behind it. So then he goes, get out of my way, and then he goes off. So then shortly afterwards they drain. The crane comes in. He's at the pub. He knows that he's it's coming. They're going to find the body. He knows that that's the end. And then he's at home when they find the body, and the priest comes in going, you're an evil bastard and all this. So he decides to go off and get the cows and chase them over the cliff.
There's that great line that he says of like, because the priest is like, why'd you get the crane or whatever it is? It's like, so you can get the body to give him a Catholic burial.
Yeah.
And he's like, my son didn't get a Catholic burial.
Yeah, she came out and was, the wife came out, Brenda Fricker came out and was giving it loads. Yeah, so that was, and so she's totally on his side after 18 years not talking to him. This fucking...
Yeah.
Good woman.
It's the shame. Yeah.
That's I think they call that a ride or die bitch.
Yeah. Well, you probably wouldn't have gotten a Catholic burial if it was a suicide.
No, you wouldn't have. No.
Yeah, no, that was the thing for a long time. They wouldn't, and babies that were not christened that died before that was another thing. That was fucking ridiculous.
And there's a lot, but it's you were talking about the response of Catholic Ireland. The more you read about that, like the 1930s time, and the rural attitude towards the church, they were more scared of them than. Like,
that was it. It was all about, and they from this time onwards, they kind of clawed after the famine. They clawed themselves back into a kind of a power thing, And I think we're living in a time where it's gone now that or it's on the way out. There's only a few. Yeah. There's only a few that would they don't have that. And
no, I was laughing at that earlier though. It's like, they're on their way out and all that sort of stuff. But we all had the same reaction to. Geez, you wouldn't call a priest by his first name. That's bad form. I haven't been to mass in years, but I wouldn't call a priest by his first name now. That's just decorum.
I remember doing a speech at my nephew's wedding, and I was like, I have to mention the priest, because obviously I'm going to joke and tell jokes, and everyone's there expect me to tell jokes. Yeah. But I was real serious at the start, saying what a lovely man the priest was, and then you can see all my mates kind of going, oh, okay. And then I started joking, but I had to get that out of the way first.
Sure,
you have to. That was,
Interesting. At a priest's funeral, someone go to smoke up and do the eulogy and be like, he was a great lad for the GAA.
Yeah.
He was the apple of his mother's.
But then, so he goes and gets the cows and decides he's going to. Tig has gone off now to Tinker Woman. Yeah. He's the slowest because twice Tig has left, and then he comes back like in 2 minutes. So he didn't get very far both times.
No,
but he's with the Tinker Woman and is in her caravan, and they're slowly going up the road, and the bird comes up after him. He goes, your father's gone mad. He's chasing the cows up off the cliff. Of course, Tig's reaction is, okay, I'll stand at the edge of the cliff and stop these 2-ton animals from going. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But realistically, though, I've hunted cattle. We had land in 2 different areas. Not that I've like, get out of here, you fuckers.
Yeah.
No, we had
Wait, did
land.
You say herd or hunt?
Hunted. We always say hunted.
Yeah.
I was like, there's
herd. Yeah.
They're in the middle of flat fields. They're huge yokes.
But we had land near Ardfinnan, which was like a mile from
the most dangerous game of them all.
with a shotgun. We'd land just outside Ardfinnan, and then we'd land 3 miles from Ardfinnan. So every now and again, maybe twice in the year, you would have to move the cattle from one to the other, which is a big ordeal because every gate, every little fucking ditch, they get in over it. So it was, and you couldn't take your eyes off it. But the amount of times when you're going along or something happens and a car cattle would get startled and they'd be gone. So realistically, if there was cattle running at you and you were at the top of the cliff and you started shouting, they'd go another direction. They wouldn't have like this whole thing where they were going straight. It was a bit much now.
That's what it fell down for you. Well, it was just a big old metaphor.
But one last thing about the cinematography. When the cattle are falling, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
They're actually real cattle falling.
Real effect.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan saw that. He was like, it's the future.
Well, it's the donkey at the start as well.
Yeah. But the cattle falling was like, they're really falling.
They could have all been dead.
Yeah. Well, they'd seen their legs. I don't know. I don't want to be going into get animals.
Because the shot of Sean Bean falling's pretty bad.
Yeah.
He's like floating through the air like a plastic bag. And then you kind of. But I don't want to speak bad about the man because he's passed. Because I've seen him. He did My Left Foot as well. And he's phenomenal. He's worked with some of the best directors in Ireland. But there's just one or two shots. I'm like, did you not have funding? Did you not have the money?
I would say it was done on a cheap budget as well. I would say, but there's a few things. But what they did with it's still one of my favourite films. I watched it again last night and I was like, this is fucking brilliant. I love it.
Sean Bean's death scene was so impressive that every director afterwards was like, we should kill him again.
Yeah.
He does it well.
He does this very, very well.
It's a very. I know I missed a lot of I watched the very, very grainy free version on YouTube.
All right, no,
watch it again.
I have it on DVD, but I don't have a DVD player, so I had it. I had it on. I knew I had it on a hard drive someplace, so I put it on television last night. But
I did love that quote when Bull is making the new roof.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You don't do a thatch roof. Thatch roof is no good. It's like a narky woman needs constant attention." The Bull has good lines throughout the movie. When I was young, in my memory, it was like, he's just a very stern character the whole way through. He's always making jokes, even with the bird Flanagan, or I was going to say bird Flanagan, that's the pub up there, but with the bird that he's like, when they're having milk and eating sandwiches.
Is the bird's second name Flanagan, though?
I think so, no. Because I tried to check it earlier. I think it's something similar, but because I was trying to figure out, is he based on that, the pub up there, but I don't think so. But just that scene when they're both eating sandwiches and passing each other the milk, and
he's just standing watching. It's brilliant. And then he goes, "Will you have a sandwich?" And he
jumps straight into it. And then as he's eating that one, the Bull's like, "Wait, who took the meat out of the sandwich?" And it's Bird.
And he's also sets him up when he's obviously as Bird during the auction scene to like have a bit of a fake auction.
Yeah,
but then Bird gives the highest bid and he doesn't say anything. He lets it go once,
going twice.
Bird looking back and be like, "What the fuck?"
John Hurt is brilliant and really plays the part perfect. But no, it's a brilliant film. If you haven't seen it, and you're Irish, if you haven't seen it, and you're Irish, get out there now and watch the brilliant.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and you can find it. It's all on. It's on YouTube. Yeah, you can't actually stream.
There's a good chance if you watch this movie, you'll sell up your apartment in Dublin because they're high prices at the moment, and go down the country and
I was going to move to America and murder someone. But do you remember in 1996 they had a stamp for the field?
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah. The 32p stamp was the three lads up against the wall.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the Bird, Tig and Bull.
Jeez, no one ever
1996. That was really right after the film was released.
6 years, I guess.
It was 1990, it was released.
Okay.
I think they were doing some like IFI or some commemorative thing of all the best Irish films.
Yeah.
So they were just like pick them up. For different.
One thing we never mentioned though, I only found this out because we were looking up different stuff. It was actually based on a true story, or they reckon a true story that was down in County Kerry. Raymore down in County Kerry. So I
was looking into it a bit this morning. I didn't know that. Like there probably is an actual full episode just about that, because it seemed like it was, what I'd read was it was two lads who were arguing over a field, and that one of them had gone to a neighbour's some woman's house to play cards, and on his walk home just the next day he was just missing. And as soon as they went to the police, they were like, he's been gone for a few days. The police were like, yeah, he's murdered. Like, do you know that? Do you have the body? It's like, it's fairly obvious. He was in a land dispute with that man who's next door to him. He was coming home late at night.
And he has a big stick with blood on it.
Yeah. This is the law.
Wow, we have no forensics, so there's nothing we can do.
No, just looking at the stick being like, that looks like...
Because he was found only like 50 yards away from his home. So he didn't go to a big effort to try and bury him, but he did throw a load of leaves and things on top of him and branches. So when people all went around the area to go look for him, that they trampled over the body so much that even if they could have found it, the forensics would have been gone. It would have been. I don't know what Ireland forensics were like in 1958. But
probably not like 2023.
No.
We've got the new one now, the new forensics lab.
All right.
Yeah, and I don't know if I should be saying this. I was in talks to do a video for it.
Yeah.
And there was a delay on doing the video. I was like, what's the big crack? It's like, they already had the idea. It's like, let's show the old one and then let's show the brand new one and how high tech it is. Right? The problem with that is all of these other convictions for the last 30 years, we don't want to be showing them this video of a fucking dog shit.
Yeah. This is how badly we did it.
Yeah. This is both the reason the wrong people got convicted and why the wrong people got
Do you know
off.
why we never got to Killer Your Father? Well, it's because of this shit here.
Yeah,
But we got new stuff.
Jesus Christ.
That refrigerator is plugged into a dodgy socket.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We have a machine here. You can put blood in it. It'll tell you if it's a man or a dog. We've narrowed down a lot of suspects.
Well, it turns out it was the dog. Well, no, he did have bite marks now that you mention
It
it.
makes a lot. We've solved upwards of 10 crimes in the last 20 years, mostly bone related.
We're actually lucky. We've never had too many. Like there's no serial killer. Was there ever serial killer?
That's
There's
the
another
story
show
for
for
another
you.
time.
Not in
I better
Ireland.
run before we start
Yeah,
talking
not
about
about
serial
it.
killers.
Yeah.
But have you got anything you want to plug, Paul?
No. What have I got? No, not really. Just check out my Instagram page.
Yeah, we'll put links to your
Actually,
stuff in your
check out my
videos and
Instagram because for a reason that I heard someone talking about a comedian, an English comedian recently, and said, "What are they like popular or whatever?" And this was at on the stairs in a comedy club.
Yeah.
And I said, they play all the clubs in the UK or whatever, but they've less than 2,000 followers on Instagram. And I genuinely didn't know how many I had. So I took out my phone and looked and I had like 1,900. So I've got it up to about 1,980 at the moment. So follow me on Instagram.
Once you break to it, then you
Well,
just get,
I can relax then.
hello, it's the Apollo Theatre.
There'll be someone else going, yeah, he plays all the clubs in Ireland, but he's got less than 3,000
10,000.
followers.
Yeah,
and then I'll be
yeah.
like, oh,
But that's
God.
the funniest thing is when you see people who have huge followings that
Yeah.
barely do comedy, and then they'll go and do those clubs. And I see some lads who don't barely have social media, and they're fucking headliners all over the country.
I found
They
out
don't
there
care.
recently that you can buy followers.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
10,000
We
at a
could probably
time. And
name
there's a
some
few,
few
yeah.
people there, yeah.
But now, even when I see him, I'm like, Tommy Tier, never heard of the guy. 100,000 followers, he bought them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just dismiss him all.
He must have an awful lot of friends in the Middle East.
There was one young lad who had he did the Halfpenny a few months ago, and he had like 600,000 or 700,000 followers on Instagram. And I was like,
You told him.
they have to be all bought.
Yeah.
The oh no, it's the other lad. There was because that's the.
Remember the
There's
guy
one Paul
that
told
we
us
were
about.
talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
and he actually got onto us again the other week. He
did, yeah.
came into the club and
Locked.
did a 5-minute set. Came in stocious, kept doing double whiskies, and then went up and came off and accused me of giving him the light after 2 minutes.
No way.
And then I was like, well, I wish I had it because he was shite. But then I was like, I didn't do that because I might do it by a minute if someone's very bad.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I didn't do that. And then he showed me his phone and he pulled it out and he was like, look, because I've recorded my set and there it stops. I'm like, you fucking gobshite, your phone fell over and stopped recording.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't leave the set, come down and turn off the phone. It's like, it stopped mid-set as you were in a joke.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was emceeing the battle one night and there was a guy like that was that and he went, have I got much time left? And I went, no, it's just up now.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And it was only like 2 or 3 minutes. I was like, no.
But
it's better for everyone. It's better for the gig and for the comedian sometimes.
citizens arrest.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks a million for having me.
Thanks for coming
I'm
in.
delighted to finally get here, and
Yeah.
maybe we do another one in another 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll put this one out soon enough and tag you and all that bit. But right, I gotta
Right,
go.
you gotta go. Listen, thanks for having me. Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, well.